Hey, good morning, everybody. This is Mo, the Gnostic Warrior, the founder of the Order of the Gnostics, going live from my YouTube channel today. And thank you for joining this conversation. I haven't been doing these live walk and talks as much lately since I've been banned from Facebook video. But wanted to talk to you guys today about a subject I feel that is very important to the modern scene in the world that we're living in now, and what we're seeing in the media and people fighting over different political ideologies, and what I believe to be people fighting over their gods. And that's one of the things that a lot of people, they don't realize, right? Thank you for tuning in, guys, live. Please thumb the video on your timeline so other people know about it, because these are getting suppressed, this knowledge, this gnosis. So listen live and share the rebroadcast if you can. But I wanted to talk today to people that are following the political scene and this modern fight between what are dubbed liberals and the conservatives, right? And this is also has labels like the alt-right and the alt-left, right? The alt-left would be the liberals, the Antifa type of people. And then on the right, sorry, just having a little reconnection issues going through the mountains here in my town of Fallbrook. But I wanted you guys to understand the secret history behind liberalism and conservatism, and understand that this is an ancient right, and the modern form of liberalism is actually taken from an ancient right in Rome. And it was about the followers of the God Liber. Of course, a lot of people out there that are liberals, they understand the word liber means free. And what these same people don't understand is that this cult has been going on for thousands of years, off and on throughout history. And if you want to understand current events, you got to understand history, and then understand history, current events, you understand where we're heading in the future. A lot of people that put these labels on themselves, whether they call themselves a conservative or a liberal, a lot of them don't understand this history. So if you're a Gnostic, or you're a person who likes to follow truth, to follow the light, then you should know this history. So if you go by a certain label or a moniker and you don't know the history, you're what we call ignosis. All right, you're ignorant of the truth, of the light. So let's talk about this God Liber. This God Liber was given basically to the plebeians of Rome. Most people don't know what the plebeians were. The plebs, essentially, they would be what we call here in the Masonic States of America, the citizens, right? In other cultures in history, they might just call them slaves, chattel, whatever you want to do. So this cult, this God Liber, was specifically sanctioned for the plebs. Okay? And this God Liber was the god of fertility and the god of wine. Okay? And it was given to the plebs in opposition to the upper class, to the Roman elite. Okay? So what the Roman elite, right? The powers that be, that we could say today. Hey, what's happening, bro? He's doing a little fog. My neighbor over here is doing a horn. He can't even talk to me. He wants to do a horn at me when I'm talking. People are comedy. Bunch of libers, right? So in any event, what you guys need to understand if you want to follow truth and gnosis is that we're given this God Liber here in the Masonic States of America and a lot of the West. And the people, the elite, They don't follow the God Liber, liberalism. Okay? You guys, I hope, could start wrapping your mind around this. And this fight, these different gods go back to ancient Gnosticism. In the fight of the conservative Orthodox Church against the liberal Gnostics. Okay, and we hear those stories about the church father Irenaeus against heresies, against the Gnostics. These were the conservatives, okay, the conservative Gnostics who can be considered right-wing Gnostics, etc. The left wing, the liberal Gnostics, would have been Simon, the various Gnostic groups that they were writing against. Okay? And throughout history, what people need to understand is that we get different gods. We get different messiahs. We get different ways that are used to manage the plebs, the people, the citizens, right? Right now, in the Masonic States of America, we have the God Liber. We don't have what could be called the true God, the true religion. We're a secular nation. So when a country goes secular without God, basically, it's a separation of the church and the state. We get the God Liber. We get what is called liberty. Liberty, libertarian, to choose to do thou wilt. Whatever that may be. So, what some people have called the Masonic States of America a Gnostic type of society. Manly P. Hall had written about this in The Secret Destiny of America, and he had claimed the founders of the USA, United States of America, who happened to be in league with the Masons and the Jesuits and the Catholic Church, and even the Protestants, right, with Frederick the Great in Germany. They decided at that time they were going to reinstitute the cult of Liber for us Americans, right, because we've had this god before. Most of you don't know that. Remember, Plato had said, all learning is remembering. Most of us have forgotten all these truths and these facts of history. So this God Liber, what people don't understand about liberalism and about our modern cult right now is it often leads to Satanism, and the Satanism leads to nihilism. And you guys would go, what's Mo talking about? Okay. Some of the people that are listening to this video cast, this walk and this talk, they have control of their mind and their bodies. Meaning, they have an open mind, they use reason, intellect, they're not obese, they're not controlled by some type of outside source, whether that be media, religion, politics, or whether that be some type of substance like alcohol or drugs, or food. You see, a true Gnostic is in control of himself and his mind and his destiny. He uses knowledge to go through the labyrinth, right? To find the truth and to understand the world that we live in is not what they're telling us. And to understand that most of the people we see on the street, and even 99% of the people that are listening to this, can't control their minds or their bodies. Okay? And this goes in line with what I've been talking about, demonic parasite mind control. And some of you just go, whoa, what's Mo talking about? I'm talking about what is exactly happening when people follow the God Liber and they're free to follow their passions, to follow their selves. My question to you guys and these people is, who are they following? What God are they following? Okay? So if you think about all these teachings I've been talking about, the parasitic fungi, molds in English, and how they're able to commandeer our DNA via horizontal gene transfer, They're able to basically get into our brains, our central nervous systems. They're able to influence us in almost everything we do. So these people you see in this Masonic States of America in these houses, right? These people driving by me right now. Who's this guy following? What God is he following? Does he even know? No. Most people don't know. They have no idea because they're asleep. They're in the land of Nod, right? They haven't connected to their souls, to the light, because they're down in their parasitic natures. So when you're down in your lower state, your lower self, you're following Liber, and you're not in control of this apparatus, this mind and the light and the truth, you're controlled by the parasite. You're controlled by who they call in Christianity the great dragon, Satan, right? Some of you will go, oh no, Mo's crazy. Some of you will get it. Some of you will understand why our world is so freaking mad, so crazy. Why the liberals and the conservatives are fighting one another. So let's talk about the conservatives, the Republicans, etc., the alt-right, the Christians. Ooh, watch out for those guys, right? The Roman elite, the emperors, the senators, various knights that served the Roman Empire, lords, tax collectors, etc. They worship a different god than the plebs. The slaves, the American citizen who is so free. You guys, right? We're so free in Liber. Try not paying your taxes. Try not. Give to Caesar what is Caesar's. See what happens to you. Try growing some pot on federal land. How free are you? Try getting on a plane without getting strip searched, right? How free are you, Mr. Liber? You're not free. It's a fucking illusion. So stop with your bullshit liberty stuff, all right? You're a slave who thinks they're free, right? Pay your taxes. You got to work. You got to give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Can't go through a stop sign whenever you want. How many laws are managing the plebs that are so free, that are so Liber? It's almost comical to watch it. And when I talk like this, people think that I'm against freedom. I'm against liberty. I'm against liberals, right? I had a guy that used to follow me. His name's Jeremy, and he attacked me because I said something about liberals. I actually posted an article from a guy named Alexander Dugin, a Russian occultist who talked about Gnosticism. But most people don't even get at all what he was saying. I'd say 99.99% of the people that will read this article, that will read my words, will not even get it. Even if you're a freaking Gnostic or you're into the truth movement, you still probably won't get the words that he's saying in this article. And that's okay. All right? But stop freaking being ignorant about life and our past. We each have our own past. Here, we're free to follow whatever God we want, right? So if you follow Liber, go ahead. Don't force your God on me, dudes. Men and women, or whoever you want to call yourselves out there. All right? Because that's the first thing alleged Gnostics want to do, is when you do not say something, or you say something that goes against their beliefs, because they believe in lies. They're controlled by the parasite. They want to attack whoever is contradicting their beliefs, their lies, right? They don't know true history. They don't know the history of the God Liber. They don't know the history of empires and gods coming in and out. They don't know none of that, right? And then when Mo brings up an article, they want to attack me, but they call themselves Gnostics. They're not Gnostics, they're agnostics. They're without God, they're without reason. Because God is the supreme reason and logic. So if you don't know this history, you don't know the history of the Gnostics and the different gods that we have fought over the time in history, and that we get different gods throughout time, you don't have the gnosis to even talk about this. So if you want to fight the liberals and the conservatives and you want to be controlled, mind controlled by the media, then of course you're going to attack me, you mind controlled fools, right? You're going to attack me, almost saying something against my beliefs. I believe in this lie, but I really don't know the truth or the gnosis, so I'm going to attack them. And this is who we see on TV, right? Everybody attacking one another. The people that lack gnosis, that lack God. They're following the parasite, Satan. So if you're a liberal and you have gnosis and you understand this history, right on. I'm all for you, and I back you up, even if I don't agree with all your views. If you're a conservative and you get this history, cool. I back you up, even though I don't agree with all your views. I'm a Gnostic. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a conservative, but I'm a Gnostic who follows the true God. The God up there, not the parasite down here. Most of you, this is way above your heads, as it is most people. Sorry about that. Good morning. People taking a walk. So thank you again for tuning into this broadcast, guys. Please share it, thumb it up. Keep an open mind when you listen to me, and understand that I don't have an agenda. You know, I'm not here to try to control what you want to say. I'm trying to bring different truths and light to you guys, and to understand some of this history, and to understand where this modern liberty movement came from, liberalism, etc., and what it leads to. Always, every single time, it leads to this, right? This is what happened, so you guys know, with the story of Atlantis, right? One of the most magnificent cities Plato had written about in his book Critias. Atlantis, I know personally to be the island of Crete and the kingdom of the Phoenicians and the Egyptians when they had ruled all the world. And they ruled with the God Liber. And this cult was a cult of war, a cult of conquering. And that's what we have here, right? In the Masonic States of America, we have the cult of war. Hey, thank you for thumbing up the video. Thank you for watching. I know there's not a whole lot of people tuning in as they were on the Facebook groups, but thank you so much. I just need to kind of get this stuff out there. So, here in America, United Masonic States of America, as I often call it, we live in a culture of war. We were set up basically as the police armed force for who some call the New World Order. Right? We're Sparta. Remember Sparta? That's essentially who we are. We're brought up by the God Liber. As I had said, leads to Satanism because most people follow their lower self. So this Satan, this parasite, this hive mind that is controlling the Masonic States of America, this God of the lower self, is why we see the world we see around us. Parasites attacking parasites, right? Madness, toxins, poisons, death. Good morning. People wonder why here in the United States of America we have so many people in prison. We have more prisons and people locked up than anywhere in the world. And it's because we follow the God Liber, right? We follow Satan here. We follow the lower self. So in order to manage the parasites and to keep them in check, you got to have a lot of laws. You got to have a lot of prisons, and you got to have a lot of population control, right? Because if you have a nation of parasites that are controlled by their lower selves, they're very dangerous, guys, right? We understand this, some of us, right? These are the people that can't control their minds. They can't control their bodies, right? I tell you, the name government comes from govern, to rule, and then menti, the mind. It's given to those people who are incapable of ruling their own minds, right? So that's why we have the world we have today, with the media and the politicians and the show, right? You got to keep the parasites entertained. You got to keep the people that can't control their mind and use reason, you got to keep them entertained, and you got to have laws, and you got to have a satanic police force surrounding them. Keep them in check. Just like we got here, right? Those that rule over us got to be more vicious than the parasites they rule over, right? Or the parasites will take them over. It's happened all throughout history. So, sorry for the connection here, guys. Hopefully I'll get a better connection as I go along over here. So, what God do you follow? That's the question. Most people don't understand the elites. They're portrayed as reptilian shapeshifters that have sex with children. No. You guys are wrong. The true elites that rule at the top, they don't do that shit. They're conservative. Morals. You think no, but you're wrong, right? You're believing the propaganda, the lies, the beliefs. So the top, right, just like in ancient Rome, when all the plebs had got the God Liber, the elite got the true God. And this true God they used to worship under the plebs, under the forum in Rome, right? So the plebs get the exoteric, satanic Liber, in the elite, the Roman elite, get the true God, the true light, the true gnosis. Nothing's changed, guys. Nothing's new. And you guys got to understand, in regards to modern times, whoa, I'm almost gonna get hit here, that this is playing out, the end of this era of the God Liber right in front of our very eyes. And what has happened today has happened in the past, in history. Nothing new under the sun. So if you're a ruler, or a military man, or a strategist, or an occultist, and you look back over history, and you take some things from history, and you incorporate them to the now in order to rule over the people, this is exactly what's happened with us. The same exact thing with the secret destiny of America. We were given the God Liber. What's interesting is that, remember when I say this, when people follow thyself, we live in a Gnostic labyrinth, right? Masonic States of America, it's a Gnostic religion. Don't forget it, right? That you're going to get good creations. That some people that follow themselves don't follow the Satan, okay? And the article by Alexander Dugin, the Russian occultist, I put on GnosticWarrior.com. You could check it out. I put it on the Facebook page as well. He talks about us. Us Gnostics that are raised in this labyrinth. Okay? And he talks about how we're forged by fire. And how it's the only way to find literally the true diamonds. People, you test them, right? What are they truly about? Their soul. That's what it comes down to, guys. We're being tested, and no one gets it. These are the final days when you're being tested for who your God is, who rules you, who rules your soul. And that's the big question of the day. Who's your God? If you're a liberal, cool. I have no problem with that. Right? No matter what anybody says. Okay, I have some liberal views and some conservative views. Right? I just don't agree with everything. Right? I'm a Gnostic. I follow the true God. Yes, I follow myself, but based on reason and knowledge. And I want to walk the right-hand path. I've been forged in fire by the left-hand path, which is the Masonic States of America. Right? This is the left-hand path. It's all about the left-hand path in the satanic states of America, right? Because as I had said, we start with Liber, and people that get the God Liber that are free to do what they want, most of them are controlled by the parasite, who Colin Wilson calls the robot, right? This is what people don't understand. This is where artificial intelligence comes from. The AI of the future, it's not going to be people with machines. No. They're going to be basically AI, artificial intelligence, deals with DNA. And it also deals with the fungi and the parasites I've been talking about. Those are the true AIs. Most people don't know that, but I'll be dropping some bombs, some truth bombs about this in the future. And I talk about this a little bit, if you want to get a little conspiratorial, is that our bloodlines, right? Rh negative, Rhesus, whatever you want to call it, AB positive, O negative, etc. Those negatives and positives deal with the organisms in our body, the parasites, the AIs that are inserted, artificial intelligence in our bodies. Most of you don't get that, but this was done thousands of years ago, guys, and I'm a product of this AI. Leviathan, right? The Levites, the priesthood of the Levites coming back to you. Imagine that. Freemasonry is a religion, you guys know that. Some of you will say it's not, but Albert Pike, Albert McKay, Manly P. Hall, some of the greatest Masonic historians and philosophers had said Masonry is a religion, contrary to popular belief, right? And if you've been following my walk and my talks and then some of the articles, I talk about how it's a Gnostic religion. The G in Freemasonry stands for Gnosis, generation, God. Geometry, they all mean the same thing. People don't get that. So, the end times are upon us. The revealing, the revelations, the last great war between Satan and Christ. Right? The Christians talk about this. And some people, why does Mo talk about the Bible, Christianity, Scripture? Because the elites that rule the world, the true elites, they follow these teachings. They always have and they always will. For example, the red hat, libertarian, right? Make America great again, Trump. When he was inaugurated as U.S. president, Catholic cardinal, I believe it was Burke. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I can't remember everything in this head here. He had said the prayer for the president, Trump. He wasn't a Protestant. He wasn't a Baptist. He was a Catholic cardinal. He was voted one of the most influential men in all of America, 2012, or all the world. And he's a conservative. Trump's a conservative. Trump's right-hand man, Vice President Pence, is a conservative. The Secretary of Education, Davos, conservative. I wrote an article on the red hat prophecy of the Hopi, and I talk about the relationship of this prophecy with the red hat cloak wearing people that come at end times, and they bring war or peace. Depending if you take the olive branch or you want to hang on to your God Liber, right? To Satan. This is the last war, the revealing, the revelations. Who's going to be forged by fire to become a phoenix, to go from a worm, a slithering worm parasite, to become a phoenix to the light, to be reborn? Who's going to go into what the Gnostic Saint John and the revealing, the revelations, the apocalypse, meaning the unveiling, into a fire, lake of fire and brimstone, a soul fire, right? Most of you guys don't understand these teachings. As within, so without, as above, so below. They think they're Christian hellfire teachings, right? Made to scare people. I don't know. I'd be scared if I were you if I didn't get these teachings, right? So you guys got to understand, the people get Liber, the God Liber, or whatever God they want to worship, right? Because we're free. And the elite, they worship the true God, the light, from which Christ had come. And let's talk about Christ and Jesus for a second. A lot of misunderstandings about Jesus. All the saviors and messiahs throughout history, there's not been one that was not a military conqueror, a warrior, and a savior, and a wise man and a priest. Usually they had those 5 qualities. But 3 things they were never without were being a warrior, a conqueror, and a savior to their people. All right? They weren't men walking around with no swords, no weapons, just preaching wisdom. No. They brought this knowledge, this gnosis, this wisdom by force with the sword. And what did Jesus say to you Christians out there, or you Gnostics, or whoever wants to understand true history? He says, I come not to bring peace, but I come to bring a sword and war. Right? And what have we had for the last 2,000 years, 3,000 years? War, a sword, death, mayhem. People don't realize that the Christian cross is the ensign of warfare, Christian warfare. It's not a symbol of the Savior, of peace. It's actually the opposite. So when you wear a cross, that is fine, but understand it's an ensign of warfare. You're showing your willingness to shed blood and to go to war for your religious following, for you following the Christianity. Right? That's why people don't realize that. That's why in the Catholic Church, the cardinals, they wear the red hat, the cloak, the red cape. It's their willingness to shed blood for the church. As I had said, what did Donald Trump come in wearing? Blue hat? A white hat? What did it say on that hat? Huh? Make America great again? Some people think America's great as it is, and that it's people like Trump destroying it. Especially the liberals, right? Following the God Liber. Then we have the conservatives, the Christians, right? Who want to bring in God, who want to marry God and the state again. They're all throughout Washington and DC right now. Imagine that. Signs and symbols rule the world, not words or laws. So if you can't see these symbols, these signs, I can't help you. I'm trying to bring you some gnosis, guys. I'm trying to make it so this light doesn't shine too bright on me. So hope I'm making sense to some of you guys out there, and I know some of you are watching live. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Revelations is the book of Gnosis. St. John was a Gnostic. The book of Revelations is the book of end times, and it's what's happening right now. It's happened before, and it's happening again. The beast, right? 666, I talk about this in other videos. The 666 is us. The beast is engrafted into our DNA, right? The parasitic fungi controlling the minds of all those that follow Liber, the false god, right? Have been commandeered for the last battle. The article Alexander Dugin, the Russian occultist, I posted on GnosticWarrior.com, it talks about this. But only the initiated will get it. The uninitiated, who are called the profane and the occult in Gnosticism, and it'll go way above their heads because they're in their lower selves, right? They're following Liber. I tell you, the true God of the Gnostics, the order of the Gnostics, is Jupiter. It's where we get our light, our consciousness. Okay, so when I say God, and talk about some men in the clouds, something I don't know, something I be life, it's someone I know. It's where my consciousness, my light comes from. It's the Alpha and the Omega. It's the morning star, right? It's the Star of Bethlehem. Most people don't get that. They've never studied it, right? They've never studied Jupiter or the history of the planets and the gods. They never understood that Zeus was a representation, the Greek god Zeus, human form of Jupiter. Osiris, Jupiter. Where was Jesus, the Messiah, Augustus Caesar, born? Who was his father? Jupiter. Alexander the Great, who was his father? Jupiter. Ramesses, the pharaohs? Osiris, Ra, the light, Jupiter. It's too much for some of you, I'm sorry. It's going way over your head, right? Jove in Rome. Yahweh, Jehovah, Odani of the Jews. El of the Phoenicians. The one-eye Odin of the Norse. Good morning. For some of you, this is too much. Sorry, too much gnosis, too much knowledge. To me, in this year 2017, that's great. Odin, Osiris, Jupiter, God. I worship Jupiter. Jupiter is my God. It's where my light comes from, my consciousness. Phosphorus, right? The fallen Lucifer. Lucifer is Latin for phosphorus, right? Christ is a representation of us rising from our fallen states, our Luciferic states, to the light, to reason, to logic. Who's going to do that out there? How many of you Gnostics have the willpower and the mind to rise to the light, to understand that all the philosophers and the Gnostics had said that God was reason, truth, light, love, not hate, not judgment, not ignorance, not attacking your brothers and your brethren. That's all the Liber, the parasite Satan. Right? So who do you follow? What path are you on? That's the question. It's a question of the age, to end this age. And who you follow, that's up to you. Mo don't really care what you do. I'm just kind of giving you the gnosis and the truth of what to do. Hey guys, I got to take a quick little 2-second break here. And got to go to the restroom. And I'm going to get back to you in 2 seconds. Almost back, guys. Excuse me. Sorry, I was getting some water and I had to take a quick leak of the restroom. So, sorry for that sound. All right, guys, understand that we each could follow if we're a Gnostic, right? If you're in the Masonic states of America or in the West, you're given the right to follow whoever you want. You're given the God Liber, okay? Even if you're over the pond, wherever. In other countries, they're forcing it upon you. If you're in, for example, Russia, I know my broadcast doesn't go to Russia. What most people don't understand what's going on there is actually they have a marriage of the church and the state. Right? One of the most powerful men in all of Russia is the patriarch of the Russian Orthodox Church, Patriarch Kirill. And at their meetings, when they meet, you have the patriarch and the president meeting. It's hand in hand, religion and the state. You see there, they don't have Liber anymore. They have the Orthodox religion. And I've had people ask me about the difference between Roman Catholicism and Orthodoxy. It's exactly what I'm talking about right now, is because here in the West, we're ruled by the Roman system. Roman Curia laws, right? All our laws that come down to us come from the Caesars that were upheld by the Roman Curia that eventually turned into our legal system that we have now. Good morning. So our legal system comes from the Romans, right? From the Caesars, and then eventually through the Roman Church and the Curia, and then eventually our modern legal system through the London Bar, right? Who the Templars somewhat control in London, to the American Bar here, right? It's all one network of systems that are still in place today. And as I had mentioned in the beginning of this video walk and this talk, these gods are to manage the Libers, the Satanists, the people that are nihilist, right? Because when you don't have church in the state, you have chaos. Ordo et chaos, right? And that's how we're managed. Through this God Liber, we get chaos. And from chaos comes order. So that's why I talk about how we're ruled by magic. And that all of us, whether we know it or not, or whether we admit it or not, we're magicians. Because we're forced into this magic hologram, this matrix. And we got to play the magic game. Some of you are ignorant to it, and you just you get tossed around by the various magicians, to and fro. Right? Those are the parasites that don't get it. They could basically be moved from one container to a next by a media broadcast, by a speech by the president, right? They don't control their minds, so they're easily swayed and moved like a parasite, like a worm, right? Like when they blow the India, whoosh, the worms. You see the worms at concerts, jumping up and down, right? Music, it's very influential. You see, we're at a crossing point, an end time scenario now where this God Liber, this Satanism, has reached a boiling point. And the powers that be have decided that this ancient game needs to come to an end. They're giving us all the signs, the symbols to tell us that. They're giving us the free will to save ourselves. But the facts are 99.9% of the people will perish in this last war. People go, Mo, you're hoping to bring this on, destroy people, military. No, they're bringing it to themselves, right? People that don't know how to use their minds and reason, that act like a parasite, they're bringing their own demise, their own hellish lives to themselves by how they're thinking and how they're living. And then they're blaming it on everybody else. These people think they're free. They're not free. They're in the clutches of the parasite, of Satan, the great dragon, the hive parasitic mind. Just watch the whole American people, the public, watch the media circus. Watch Alex Jones videotape this in real time. It's all a show, but most of you don't get it, right? You're following Liber. You're not in control of your mind and control of your emotions and control yourself, so you're being tossed to and fro by the media magicians, and you don't get it. Man, it's sad, but it's also interesting to watch. Me being someone who dropped out of school when I was 17, no formal training. No one's ever taught me the rules of life. I all did it on my own. I went through the labyrinth, right? Minotaur, Satan, defeated him. And what was my prize? My soul. That was my prize, guys. My sovereignty, the true sovereignty. Most people call themselves Gnostics and say they're free, but they're not free because they haven't connected with their soul and their light. They say they do, but everything they do as far as in life proves the opposite, because it's not what you say, it's what you do, right? Because we see a lot of that on YouTube and Facebook of a lot of people, they're getting knowledge and gnosis, and you know, they have all these viewpoints, but they're not walking the knowledge path and the Gnostic path. They're just a bunch of talking out their necks, criticizing people, leaving comments all day, because that's all they could produce, right? They don't produce anything of value. They think they're Gnostics and they're like illuminated, but they're parasites just like all the other parasites in society, right? Following the God Liber, right? The destruction of our families, the destruction of our values, the destruction of our morals, all by the God Liber, by the parasite that leads to Satanism. But if that's what you want to do, that's your choice. That's not my path, right? I have people that follow Satan. I know friends that think and say they're in control of their minds. They say they're Gnostics, but they don't walk the Gnostic path. They're liars. They're hypocrites, right? And they're still my friends. I just don't say it to them. And they probably think I'm a hypocrite. But what's funny is any day of the week, any day of the weekend, I would talk to them like friends and debate on this knowledge, this gnosis. I would even go so far to say, friend, I know we have different views on life and Gnosticism, morals, ethics, gods and goddesses, why don't we have a debate, Gnostic to Gnostic, man to man, in front of the people? I guarantee 99.9% of these guys would never ever take me up on that, because I would make them look like ignosis fools so easily, just with my speech live, right? They have to hide behind articles and sophistic words, books, right, that they're alleged Gnostics, right? It's comical, guys. Comical, to say the least. But in any event, if you guys don't agree with me, that's fine, guys. I mean, that's life, right? You don't have to attack me just because you don't agree with every viewpoint, but study what I'm talking about right now. The God Liber, and how the plebs, the slaves, you guys out there were given the God Liber. Me too, right? I followed the God Liber. I followed Satan. I was a parasite. I admit this in almost all my videos. But I woke up. I realized the game. I've been had, right? So alone in this world, the secular world of Liber, of Satan, walking through as a young man. Even today, I feel alone. I have all you guys out there, but every day I'm attacked, vilified. People who love me today, they don't love me tomorrow because of a word I say or an article I post. Alleged Gnostics, they'll contact me and comment, they're my best friend, and then they just drop off the face of the earth. I've had this happen to me so many times over the last 7-8 years. It's just like, it gets old. I'd rather walk alone by myself and do these videos and just be with my family. You know, these movements that I see, these religious movements, even these new modern Gnostic movements, they're all plagued by parasites, right? That's why they all fail. Because you have people ruling, whether it's in politics or these secret societies or these Gnostic groups, that they're parasites following the God Liber, right? They're not in control of their minds and their higher selves. They're ruled by the parasite. Every time that happens, it leads to destruction, right? Just like the United States is going to be destroyed if we keep it up. If we don't go back to our old ways to make America great again. Okay, when I say that, remember, I'm not a Republican. I don't even fucking vote. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a liberal. I don't play that game. I'm a Gnostic. I follow truth and I follow light, right? I have a set of morals that I've thought up for myself that make my life happy and bearable, that make my marriage happy. You know, I don't practice free sex and screwing around on my wife. I like a monogamous relationship. I don't want my wife doing that with anybody else. I like to treat people how I want to be treated. I don't like to hurt people unless they're a threat to me and I got to defend my family. I'll fucking kill you. But I'm not going to kill no one or hurt anybody for no reason or just to get ahead. Those are my morals. Some people have other morals, and that's okay, right? If you think you could hurt people and abuse people to get what, you're a Satanist. If you think you could lie to people just because you're a Satanist, then that's fine. That's your path. That's your morals. Those aren't my morals. Don't push them on me, right? So people who are more liberal, more Satanist, they don't like me. I'm a Gnostic who follows more the right-hand path, but I was forged by the left-hand path of what Alexander Dugin talks about, and how we're ruled, and how the wheat are separated from the tares, right? How the true Gnostics, the wheat, are separated from the parasites. So, get yourself right, guys. Understand what's going on. Thank you for the thumbs up and viewing this video. I'm going to go work out. I'm at the gym right now. Try to control this lower self of mine. Keep it in shape. Working out, just so you know, for me personally, it helps me have discipline. As I had said, I'm a disciple. A disciple is a student. We're students, also teachers. And to keep a student, being a student, I have to keep discipline and keep on the path. So this is one of my rituals right here is going to this gym here, right down the street from my house. So I do a walk and talk. I get the philosophies out, the wisdom with my brain, right? So I'm exercising the brain, this big muscle up here. I'm bringing that phosphorus down here to the light. And then I go into the gym, which is my next ritual, and I do some work out this body, and I keep centered, right? Centered in this body. I become one. I become a Gnostic warrior, right? I'm not a dualistic being. I'm spirit, materialism, right? The Gnostic cross. I'm right in the middle, guys, right? So get that. If you want to be like that, start walking the path. Stop talking out your neck. Or if you want to be like that, the God Liber, have hypnosis and be like the elder parasites and the slaves out there, do nothing. Sit on YouTube, sit on Facebook, and just talk all day and do nothing. Or you can go out and create some light and some love, which I'm hoping some of you will do out there. In any event, have a great day today. If you're watching this on the rebroadcast, thank you. Again, my name is Mo, the Gnostic Warrior. You could find my work on GnosticWarrior.com, and you could also find it on Facebook.com/Gnostic Warrior. If you would like to become a member of the Order of the Gnostics, True Gnosis, go to GnosticWarrior.com/member. Find out how you could become a member of the Order of the Gnostics. I also have a private Facebook group for these members where they get one-on-one access with me. I just don't have time for everybody else out there in regards to answering their questions, etc. So I put these videos out there to kind of answer those questions and give my belief system out there. And if some of you have more questions or you want some direct access to me to ask me stuff, join the Order of the Gnostics. Otherwise, you could leave a comment and I'll see if I have time to answer it. All right, guys? Peace be with you. Follow Gnosis. Follow the true God. Don't follow your lower self, parasitic self, Satan, right? Keep the peace.